Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about how to identify trends in the forex market. We're going to be identifying, or rather we're going to be talking about how you go about identifying a trend, whether it's structurally or through pattern, whatever the case may be. We're going to be getting into that and how to incorporate that with all the other videos in which we've been getting into in the previous videos. And in all honesty, if you were to watch my videos back to back and you incorporate everything that I've taught in my videos, really, you can come up with a really powerful structure, or rather a strategy that can, influence your trading career. But otherwise, let's get straight to it, man.
Those made it.
Right. I really want to make this video very quick as possible. So we're gonna be getting to the illustration at hand, and then we're gonna get into a chart example and keep it very short. So essentially, there are two ways to identify trends in the market, as I've written down how to identify trends in the forex market. The first is really simple. The basic stuff that you get on a book somewhere on a baby pips. And the first way is just taking a glance at the chart and seeing whether and just looking at the highs and the lows of the chart, right? If the market is continuing to make lower highs and lower lows consistently, in case you don't know, if we're gonna get into that, a lower high and a lower low is a lower high is called a lower high because it is the high of the market, but it's lower than the previous high. That's why they call it a lower high. It's lower than the previous high, and this high is lower than the previous one before. And then below the market, below the trend, we have a lower low and a lower low right here. They call it a lower low because it's lower than the previous low. This low here, this turning point here, is lower than the previous low right here. And that's how you identify a downtrend, just by looking at it from a distance, right? Without even analyzing or whatever the case may be. Just looking at the lows and the highs, and if a market or the market is printing out lower highs and lower lows consistently, so that's when you know that the market is in a downtrend. And if the market is in an uptrend, right, the market will be printing out higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows, right? This is price action 101 basic stuff, right? Like I said, you'll find such in a baby pips book somewhere, right? So they call it a higher low because this low is higher than the previous one, and they call it a higher high because this high is higher than the previous one, and this high is higher than the previous one. So when the market keeps printing out higher highs and higher lows, that's when you know that the market is in an uptrend. And the third trend really in the market is the ranging trend. It is a trend after all. When the market is ranging, or when the market is consolidating and trading sideways, where the highs of the market and the lows are basically around the same price range, that's when you know the market is ranging. When the highs and the lows are pretty much touching the same resistance or support, right? So that's the first obvious way, easiest way, the most basic way to identify a trend. If the market is making higher lows, or rather higher highs and higher and lower lows, that's when you know that the market is in a downtrend. And when the market is printing out higher highs and higher lows, that's when you know the market is in an uptrend. And when the market is within the same price range, that's when you know the market is ranging and trading sideways. We're not really going up, we're not really going down. We're in the same price range, and we're probably doing so to build a structure to continue with the previous trend or to reverse, right? And that goes perfectly into the second more effective way to identify a trend, right? And that is the structures being patterns, right? So when the market is in an uptrend, like we illustrated here, the market is in an uptrend, like we said previously, making higher highs and higher lows. Probably the best way to identify whether or not we are going in an uptrend or not is by studying the structure in which the market is building when it's ranging like so, right? Or when it's pulling back like this, pulling back and making these pullbacks here, these ones here. These are the best opportunities to identify whether the market is going in the opposite direction, or we're going to be continuing with our trend. So as I illustrated here, the market moved up in an uptrend, consolidated, ranged a little bit, and then built a continuation pattern, which is a bullish flag, then moved impulsively to the high, and then we have another pullback, another impulse to the high, a major pullback, a major downtrend to the low. We have another pullback, and then we have a reversal pattern that has been printed out, right? This reversal pattern, this structure here, will indicate to you that there's a high probability of a downtrend, and then the market moves in the opposite direction. The moment it consolidates like so, that's when we identify whether or not we are reversing or we are continuing with the trend. And in this case, we do continue with the trend. We see a continuation pattern printed out, and the market impulses to the low, and then we meet a stumbling point, maybe a resistance of sort. We see a double bottom before the market reversing, or whatever the case may be. So it's always a good idea to study the structure in which the market is building. Like I said in previous videos, the market moves in two phases. It's either moving impulsively or there's a correction. One of the two. It's never in the middle. The market is either ranging or moving in an impulse, whether the impulse is bullish or bearish. Regardless, it's moving in one of the two. And when the market is consolidating or ranging like this, just know that the market is preparing to build a structure that could identify whether or not the market is going to move in the previous trend or we are reversing. But overall, it's always a good idea to study the structure in which it's been built in order to identify whether or not the market is going to continue with the trend or we are reversing. Let's get into the chart so we can get into some example. It's just one example so that we can keep this video very short. Right. So we have USD CHF right here, and like I said the other time, or rather in the previous segment, that we're gonna go through one example and we're gonna keep it as short as possible. So here we are. We have a large consolidation right here, huge right here. It's a big ranging market, but within the market we see trends. We see trends and trends, right? We see patterns and patterns, and whatever the case may be, right? So right here, here's a trend right here, and here's an example of a simple way to identify a trend. We have a push to the high, right? We have a pullback. We have another push to the high. We have a pullback. We have another push to the high. We have a pullback, and then we have a reversal pattern right there, right? So the best way to identify this as an uptrend is the fact that we have higher lows and we have higher highs. Here are the highs, right? Here are the highs right here. Let me do this real quick. Here are the highs right here, right? This high is higher than this one, this high is higher than that one, and this high is higher than the previous one. Even this one is higher than the previous one, making it higher highs on top of, you know, higher highs and then higher lows, because this low is higher than the previous one, this low is higher than the previous one, this low is higher than the previous one, and this low is indeed higher than the previous one. But now on the downtrend, we see a structural way to identify trends, whether or not we are going in a downtrend or an uptrend. So with this double top here, we start with the double top, which is a reversal pattern. That's already an indicator that this trend here has come to an end. This trend here has come to an end, and now we are probably going to be experiencing lower highs and lower lows, right? So as indeed it did happen, we have a push to the low, pull back, push to the low, pull back, a push to the low, pull back, push to the low, and we have a huge structure here, which is a continuation pattern before the final low, or rather the final push to where price is today. So let me remove this real quick. So like I said, we have a reversal pattern here, double top, right, which is already an indicator. But also, if you were to zoom in, let's zoom in a little bit. If we were to zoom in right here, this could be a continuation pattern over here. Hold on, this could be a continuation pattern. If you go on the lower time frames, I believe it's much clearer than it is now. This right here could be a continuation pattern all on its own. So this here could be a continuation pattern all on its own as well. And then we have this huge rising wedge with a 3-touch confirmation before dropping to the low. As much as the 3rd touch didn't really go there, but we do have a pattern, a candlestick pattern that is very much potent in the structures. When you see such structures, it's always a good idea to trade them. But also, here's another tip that I constantly forget to tell you. I always talk about, in my videos, I always talk about the 3-touch confirmation, right? And I always talk about the first touch, the second touch, the third touch. But sometimes the market does not go to touch the structure at hand. Sometimes the market will give you a double top or a double bottom, and in this case it gave us a double top, right? Gave us one touch and then the second touch of the double top before going down. So it's always a good idea not to wait for perfection and wait for that touch here, because sometimes it will not come. Sometimes it will give you a double top, right? Like this example here, where it gave you a double top and it moved continuously to the low, and I think it's going to drop for a few more days. Maybe today's Thursday, maybe, you know, until Friday. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So yeah, that's how you identify trends in the market. There's no real need for you to have all kinds of crazy indicators or robots or whatever the case may be. I know nothing about robots. I know nothing about artificial intelligence or algorithms, whatever the case may be. I know nothing about that, but just observing the way that I just showed you, just taking a look at the market and studying price will give you more than enough information as to whether the market is going up or down or sideways. So yeah, that'll be all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and to those who keep subscribing, those who keep liking, those who keep watching the videos, thank you very much. Welcome to the Forex Tribe. This is a tribe of Forex bosses. Until next time, peace out.